Hi everyone and welcome to another pick a card reading. Now as we're heavily advancing into Scorpio season, I have chosen a very scorpionic subject, as in messages from our shadows. This November is going to be a very shadowy period, perhaps more than usually, because we have a lot of planetary activity in there. We have the Sun in Scorpio, Mars, the ancient ruling planet of Scorpio, in there, and very soon Mercury will spend some time there as well. And then, on the other hand, the more modern ruling planet of Scorpio, Pluto, holds a lot of very important celestial conversations. So this basically adds even that much more to the energy. On the other hand, we also have dark Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Gemini. So basically, the shadow, the primordial expression of the shadow, the wild raw energy that it represents, is within the mind, Gemini, communication, words, all of that. So it's pretty active and relevant right now. So we must take it into consideration. And a really good way of doing that, well, it's to allow it to send its message, to perhaps reveal something to us which we are not really aware of at the present moment. So I do hope that this pick a card reading connects you a little bit with your shadow and it gives you a perspective to basically understand it. Because what Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Gemini also means is that the shadow has to be connected in alliance with the higher self and any other parts of the being. And if we manage to do this, we will have a lot of progress and momentum in our lives, a lot of self-knowledge, truly valuable self-knowledge, and also the advantage to be that much more at peace with ourselves, with other people, and of course the world. Like always, the timestamps for the interpretations of the three piles of cards can be found in the description of this video. And with this being said, let's get on to the messages that our shadows would like us to be aware of. Hello everyone who has chosen the first pile. Your cards are the Queen of Cups, the Star reversed, the Six of Coins reversed, and the High Priest. Now this is quite an interesting combination because that Queen of Cups represents that in the recent past, even in the present, you guys have had a period of really deep, intense, profound emotional healing, regeneration, an inner call to reach stability, and there was a lot of triggers and also divine guidance in your life in just the recent past. And as I said, this is also ongoing. This is also part of the present, which kind of truly catalyzed this. Now, of course, you had some not so very favorable moments, so to speak, some very difficult moments, especially during Cancer season, perhaps. So July, the end of June, coinciding also with the Gemini eclipse. And that was a little bit painful because it showed you, it reflected, almost like life was kind of forcing you, putting you in all of those situations where you had no choice but to observe yourself, almost like looking at yourself in the mirror, let's say. And the mirrors were situations, other people, relationships, communication with other people, maybe you're public, and if you're in that position, other people out there sharing their stories, their experiences, and you could relate to that quite deeply. And what all of these triggers pulled out from you is that you had to admit to yourself that regardless of how every other area of your life is, how it was, what the plan is, what the karmic pattern is, even what the divine will is, it doesn't really matter because you guys were emotionally exhausted. The more distant past, so not just the past couple of months, the past years have been really hard on you. And you are a person who instinctually has a lot of self-nurturing tendencies, impulses. So you're very, very good at licking your own wounds, even licking the wounds of others. You have this healer, light worker, or nurturer type of energy naturally given to you. But life was so very demanding that you really had to basically put every single energy source that you had into embodying your Cancer energies, in the sense that you really needed to nurture yourself emotionally because there was no other source out there, not even at certain times, things which usually are guaranteed to nurture you emotionally, like music, arts, fantasy, spirituality, etc. In certain moments that didn't work either, and that was pretty scary because you felt like truly starving. And then on the other hand, you might have also had to share a lot of your nurturing energies with others, friends, family, maybe even just random people who you encountered, and you said, I want to help you, I want to inspire you. So, this was like a lot of baggage there, where you had to be strong for yourself, you had to put a lot of energy into perhaps your work, hobby, or whatever you were working on in your life. Then you were also called to help a lot of other people, and that truly drained you. It was like, emotionally speaking, rock bottom, exactly because you ran out of soul food, let's say. But it had a very big karmic reason to it. They say that if you want to truly know who someone is at the very core of their being, either give them power or totally take away all their power, and they will just reveal themselves. Well, this happened to you in both expressions. The power, well, you had this very strong emotional power where you invested it to help others, to help yourself, to nurture yourself, to protect yourself from whatever was going and is going on in the world, because there's also that side of the energy, and that is what really requires self-nurture. The Queen of Cups, the embodiment of Cancer energy, the shell, the protective shell, the safe refuge within, the emotional shield that just keeps you safe from everything and everyone. And the fact that you actually chose very quickly, naturally, without any doubt, to share this, well, give someone power to see who they are. That is who you were. Someone who definitely wants to share, someone who is a natural healer, a supporter, a counselor, an advisor, a true Queen of Cups, regardless of your gender. Because, you might consider yourself as King of Cups if you're a male, but perhaps in this circumstance that might not be the case, because the King of Cups is the masculine expression of the water element, so the King of Cups projects its deep faith, its deep soul level maturity onto others, anyone around him, and that's how he keeps them safe and nurtures them, etc. So almost like a Christ-like expression, where as in the Queen of Cups, she is much more feminine, like a mother type of energy. She even gives up her own source of life to nurture those around her. So she is much more different, let's say, than the King of Cups. So you embodying the feminine side of this energy says something even more impressive about you, because basically not everyone can do that. And also the moments of rock bottom, when you were totally drained, was also very important, because it reflected back at you that emotional well-being is very similar to like the necessity to eat. Because even though, as I said, from birth you are very, very powerful in the emotional, psychological sphere, you have a lot of endurance, resilience, intelligence, experience, an ancient soul, so you also inherited this. But everything has a limit. When you run out of food, basically, you end up just like those people who you nurture. And this lesson was very, very important for you to know your limits. And basically, when your shadow screams at you that you need to feed, you need a tiny bit of, let's say, attention, someone to truly talk to, but not as a counselor, but rather quite the opposite, actually talking about yourself, being okay with the fact that there are times in life when the spotlight is on you, when you're in the chair and you have to share everything about you, your story, your perspective, your feelings, your hurts. Basically, when you are the beneficiary of someone else's listening and attention, and to be okay with this. You know, of course, because of your karma, basically, your life path, of course, life puts you 80% in positions where you are the therapist, you are the listener, you are the nurture giver, the counselor, the wise person. And of course, in those moments, you don't say a word about yourself, but you listen, you give everything to that other to help them, to heal them, to nurture them. And that is absolutely fine. That is how you need to be. That is how you have to enable the healing. But, you know, you must also remember at times that you're human as well, and you have to be in the opposite position sometimes in life, because that is a nurturing mechanism where when other people listen to you, when you can express yourself, when you can speak about your emotions and basically anything about you, that is a very nurturing gesture, because it's almost like eating soul food, allowing your being to give itself importance and another physical being, so someone real is actually listening to you. So it's like eating, basically. But you know, because you always want to be there for others and you want to be strong, and you feel like this is also your duty in a sense, because life did advantage you with this strength. And regardless of how you look at it, yes, of course you had a hard life and went through so very many things, but the sheer strength, well, that was in excess. So basically you were advantaged in that sense. You could figure out stuff so easily. You, many times in your life, needed no advisor because you just knew what you had to do. All of that is an advantage. So this means you, of course, you work with it because that's your strong point. But whenever you forget that you also need nurture, that's when you start slowly but surely entering into trouble. And because you are a person who can very well bully his or her shadow, if that makes sense, as in you done so much, not necessarily shadow work, but rather strengthening your spiritual purity, if that makes sense, that you very quickly dismiss your shadow. So when your being says, you know, screams sometimes, that I also need some affection, attention, I'm hungry, let's say emotionally speaking, I'm a little bit needy, well, all of those impulses are very quickly dismissed. And you think that it's a kind of self-care where you just quickly tell yourself, that's okay, I'm here and I'm everything that you need, you don't need anyone else. Well, that isn't like true. self-care or self-nurture, because the way you have to do it in an authentic way is to sit down with yourself, allow the need to basically come to the surface and make you all upset, cry it out, tell yourself how lonely you are, for example, or how much you would love some attention or whatever, and then tell yourself that don't worry, you're enough, etc., etc. If you do this in 5 seconds mentally, internally, it works because of your inner strength, but it's not solving the problem at all. And that is how you always end up at the rock bottom. But anyway, this is still the recent past, because the Queen of Cups is in upright position, and that means that you really done a very, very important emotional healing and nurturing work. And even though right now your life might be a little bit challenging, or better said, challenges are knocking at your door and you know it, you are strong enough, nurtured enough, symbolically to be understood, fat enough to withstand anything that life might throw at you. And what your shadow wants to tell you, what your shadow wants you to know, is that a pretty chaotic period is coming in your life, so the next couple of weeks, maybe months. And the future is going to feel rather uncertain, and especially materially speaking, the situation won't be very easy to anticipate and manage. But of course, this not really in the sense that it's scarcity and poverty and losses and the really bad stuff, but rather that it's going to be so very chaotic that simply you won't be able to make a lot of, let's say, very clear future plans, because you just won't be able to tell or know what tomorrow brings. So even if, and chances are there are going to be financial opportunities in your future, even if you seize them, grab them, work with them, put them to good use, you won't be able to basically do a lot with the money or any material benefit that comes your way, because you will just know that you have to just preserve it, sit on it, preserve it. You will just know that it won't be the right period to make like big investments or to basically squander that which you have. And your shadow is telling you that amongst those chaotic and random opportunities that are likely to be part of your especially material life in the close future, there is going to be either an offer or an invitation for you to do a kind of work which you're very, very good and knowledgeable at, but either the, let's say, modus operandi or maybe the terms and the conditions of a contract are going to be slightly out of your comfort zone. And also the material side of whatever this is that is, really appealing, like it's really, really good, because it can give you a lot of security, especially for the uncertain future, in the sense that, okay, the future is very unreliable collectively, globally, economically, business-wise, transaction-wise, but when someone has either a spare resource or enough time, maybe it's something that buys you a lot of time, where you really won't have to worry about that, regardless of what happens, even if business is blocked, for example, or you are basically not able to work, it won't make any difference. And it's that kind of comfort and security and stability that this surprising opportunity will offer you. So what your shadow is telling you, that when that opportunity comes, you really need to listen to it and let it's instinctual expression, as in the gut feeling, I want, I will, I can do this, I'm strong enough. And that which usually might seem to you as a very ego-centered self-worth, as in I'm the best, I'm good, I'm powerful, I'm this and that which you usually never ever allow to leave your mouth, or that which you kind of never want other people to see you or perceive you as, that is what you will need to do to secure that opportunity, to show the other people that you're really serious and you have mountains of experience and strength behind you on your little symbolic backpack of values that you bring to the table. So as much as you will not like it, you will really have to give in to your shadow to secure that opportunity for you, and not fear that it will destabilize your emotional healing, that which you've worked so hard to accomplish. So basically, if this summer taught you how to be truly vulnerable and how to listen to your needs, to your instincts, to the lower expression of your inner voice, when your being is telling you, I need this, I want this, I can't go without this. In those moments, if you listen, you actually avoid a lot of struggle. You do the instinctual right thing, so basically survival instincts. And not listening to your needs is not an elevated thing. It is not a spiritual thing. It is not really self-discipline. Because we don't live in a free world, if that makes sense. We don't live in the age of Christ or Buddha, but we live in the now. So that's why when your shadow has to represent you, be the diplomat who needs to negotiate for your own being, then in those times the wisest and also the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself is to allow it, is to support it, is to actually give it more strength and trust. Especially that you would advise another person who would be in your situation exactly the same. That true expression of self-worth is when you can stand up for yourself even in delicate situations. Because, other people will not see your value intuitively, or they won't feel it, they won't perceive it as vibe and energy. Because most don't have your skills and sophistication and life experience. So sometimes in life you must do it the old-fashioned way and just go out there and be brave enough, strong enough to just shine. To just show who you are, to truly take off the mask and have this boldness to show the world your experience, your strength, your worth and value as a professional, or whatever it is that you're planning and you're really, really good at. So this is what your shadow wants to tell you, that it's not selfish, it's not self-centered, neither is it arrogant when you show who you are exactly in those situations when you kind of need it the most. And if anything, this is the reason why you, deep inside of you, you don't really fear the unstable, uncertain, unknowable, mysterious, chaotic future. You sense that it's gonna be 100% like that. You know without a doubt that this is where you are going into the unknown, uncharted waters. And you might find it a little bit strange that you don't have even a spark of fear or worry or too much concern in your mind and heart. And this is exactly why, because you know that the uncertainty won't affect you. It won't be something which will put you and your situation in danger, exactly because the universe has this big catch opportunity directed, steered already in your way. But if someone can actually miss out on opportunity because of excessive modesty, well, that's you, so you don't want that to happen. So this is what the cards have to say for you, Pile 1. Thank you so much for listening. Wish everyone a blessed November. Hello everyone who has chosen the second pile. Your cards are the Empress reversed, the Death reversed, Two of Swords, and the Six of Cups reversed. Now this is a pretty unusual and very heavy energy. This almost feels like for you guys as if everything that happened and played out ever since the very beginning of 2021, especially events stirring around the beginning of spring, all led to this Scorpio season. It's almost like for you guys, this Scorpio season is a big wrap up. It is a very strong pivotal moment, especially from a psychological perspective. Now, first of all, this spring and summer period might not have been very generous to you guys in the sense that you done big things, great things, you did take very important leaps of faith, especially, with your life path. Whatever that means to, different people. For some, life path is just career and material situation, advancement in this sense. For other people, it's much more spiritual. For others, it's much more relationship-based, psychological. Whatever it is that you really needed to advance in with your life, basically. Now, that happened this year. But it was incredibly hard and challenging because regardless of what you did, what situations you were confronted with, everything just evoked wounds that you had accumulated throughout your life. Childhood traumas, bad things that have happened, failures, professional or business or relationship failures that you had in your life. So there were a lot of recurring patterns, triggers that just made you look back. And also you might have been caught in similar situations, surprisingly, almost like you could not believe that you're in it once again. So it was very, very confusing. It was very hard. It was very bittersweet because yes, you made progress and all that. And you done big things, like truly big things for yourself. As you listen to this, you might immediately think, well, what big things? I'm not that far ahead in life. I haven't actually achieved that which I truly wanted to. And even though that is kind of true, but still, if you look at it from, different eyes, different perspective, the things that you have healed, the realizations, the worldviews, the life philosophies, and your faith, basically, that you transformed profoundly in such a short time. You can easily say that who you were this spring is like a skin shed off totally. You're not the same person. So basically, not in the sense that you just denounced your old identity or something like that, but quite the opposite. You regenerated, you healed all those things which you wanted in yourself to become stronger, stable, reliable, to be truly part of you and not leave you, not abandon you in hard times, let's say. You accomplished that because your principles, your core beliefs, your inner child, your innocence, that special magic about you, that's with you right now. And for the first time in your life, it's not going anywhere. It's not abandoning you. It's not like how it was that it's so nice and magical and you just really feel in tune and connected with your own soul and spirit. And then a hardship comes, sadness comes, and you're lost, you're sinking, you're disconnected. This time, for real, it's not the same because You still had some hardships and difficult moments, and that special magic about you, your soul basically, did not leave you. It stayed by your side just as strongly as it was in, let's say, good times. So that's how you know that what you accomplished is massive and it was worth every inconvenience, every wound tore open once again, facing rock bottom situations. It was all worth it. And you and your life and everything in this is genuinely not the same as it was ever. So that is how you know that you have accomplished things that you couldn't do in tens of years in such a short time. And basically everything in life, especially life path, regardless what that is, even if it's money, even if it's financial situation, even if it's getting closer to your dreams, your lifestyle or whatever, it's still psychology. It's still, you cannot deny, no matter what you do, that it's rooted in there. So when you want to achieve something, when you want to transform something, when you want to progress with something, regardless of what you search on the internet and who and which gurus promise you an evasive maneuver, it will always in life still get down to your own psychology and changing your deeply rooted patterns and beliefs and all of that. No one can revolutionize a quick way around those issues. It will always come down to that. So basically, what happened in your life this year was that actually the truth set you free. The most hard to face truth in your life, and truth about things that happened when you were a child. You had to relive them, to witness them with the eyes of the adult who you are right now. You had so much to forgive other people, your parents, yourself, and you really had to see your life from a different perspective, from a loving and compassionate perspective, because that was the only way you could motivate your being to really be strong for you, to take care of yourself. This is what you needed to understand what self-love is. Self-love is when you would do to yourself, out of compassion and empathy, that which you would do to a person who you would passionately love. And if you're not able to do the same for yourself, that means you don't love yourself, and you can twist this in any way you want, but it's still what it means. That was the truth. And that's why everything, all the inconveniences and chaos and painful moments and wounds came back one after another to show you that you didn't really love yourself enough to be more compassionate, understanding, empathic, and even assertive when needed for your being, for your own self. There were times in your life when you were much stronger, much more compassionate to other people, sometimes even total strangers, but you refused to do the same for yourself. So life kind of waited and waited and waited, and it kind of steered you to this truth in the most painful sense. But you did understand, you did process, and you did take that very difficult choice to start being your own guardian, being your own protector, and to do the right things for yourself. So your progress was titanic, monumental. Yet, this Scorpio season is the cherry on top. It is basically not just the cherry, but the whole icing on the cake. You healed so very many issues, things. Like, let me just give you a random example that just pops into my mind. Maybe you healed a trauma with work where you might have been offended by a manager, a boss you had when you were younger, and you found it difficult to take orders from other people, and you had an instinctual mistrust to authority figures in your life, and you healed that. But there was one thing that you found it very, very hard to heal, and that is the last element on your priority to-do list, on your healing list, basically, on a soul level. And this is naturally also karmic energy, so like it or not, you're healing this, and it's the Empress reversed. So it's self-worth, but from a very, very Venusian, romantic type of expression, if that makes sense. It's not really about money, job, social connections, all of that. It's just in a romantic way. And this will also enter in your life as a big truth. And maybe some of you guys are already, because we had a very powerful new moon in the sign of Scorpio, so you guys were already guided to this truth. You had a relationship in your life. For some, it was even marriage, which broke your heart, wounded you in a savage way. But the thing is, because you had to be very, very strong and also compassionate, because this wasn't necessarily that person's bad intent. This person might have just been either very ignorant, or they might have had an undiscovered Asperger syndrome, but there was no use even telling them, or they had a lot of childhood traumas where this person, despite their good intent, they are kind of almost like emotionally lost. And it was this emotionally lost state of theirs which always basically prevented you from saving your situation by leaving, by, terminating the relationship or having the very delicate discussions. You just couldn't. You were stuck. And you endured and endured and endured. You made it that much worse by blaming yourself. Why can I make this person happy? Why aren't I happy? Why this and that? And it just deeply corroded your psyche, your heart, like acid. And the worst part is you were not aware. You didn't feel the wounds. It was like an invisible cancer eating you up from the inside, and you not feeling it, not being aware. You kind of processed it as just being strong, holding your ground, trying to make the best of it. You even processed it many times as nurturing yourself, supporting yourself, being there for yourself, but you were so lonely. Your soul was literally screaming at you to notice me, to, hey, wake up, don't do this to us. As in us meaning all sides of your being. But, it just happened. And of course, you either had a divorce or a separation, or you finally left. And, you had also a lot of other problems to take care of. And you worked, you even went on this very strong healing journey. And you healed everything else, worked through everything else except this self-worth issue, which is only now known by you. You always suspected, of course this left a negative imprint on you, but you never were confronted with your own pain until now. And your pain was so strong that it scared you. Actually, let's put this in the present tense. It is scaring you. You feel even a certain shame that how could you let yourself suffer like that? How were you that blind? How were you that also ignorant? But this is why that partner was attracted into your life. Ignorance brings ignorance. That person ran away from their childhood wounds or whatever made them as empty as they were, and you kind of did the same, but because you were much more powerful, emotionally mature, and your intellect is like super hyper strong, of course you weren't in the same position. But you know, what you seek also seeks you, so you and this person wanted an escape, a break, and that's what you got. And also, this relationship was a life lesson for both of you, that we don't sweep pain, sorrow, loneliness under the carpet and not communicate it, not show it, hoping that everything is gonna be okay and it will just pass. It will never pass. But anyway, the past isn't really the problem. The problem is that you now see just how broken your heart is. And the Two of Swords is the most symbolic card because it's almost like a big shock for you. And it's shock for your higher self. It's also shock for your shadow. It's almost like you were hit by a lightning bolt and you're alive, you're well, you're survived, but you're still stunned. And the stunning factor, the shocking factor, is that you had no idea that it was as hard and as painful for you as the way you kind of remember it now. It's almost like remembering that relationship or that situation from within the mindset or the maturity of a totally different person. The person who you are now. All of your other healing moments when you purged out traumas and whatever, as in the events of 2021, kind of prepared you for this level of honesty with yourself and burning compassion, if that makes sense, because what you want to do now, deep within your instinct, is to live, just live life, to be, to exist unapologetically. You just want to live because you worked for it, you fought for it, you've done everything in your power to just be alive. And it's that very strong desire to live, to have a future, that is giving you the clarity to look at that part of yourself which is still very, very in pieces. But by this, it's also truly releasing the past. So this is not just a shocking moment, an epiphany, a dark epiphany, let's say, but by acknowledging your past pain, feeling so trapped and worthless really, you're also releasing it. You're also letting it go. You're abandoning it. And both your higher self, this Two of Swords, and your shadow in alliance together are kind of healing something deep within you, as in the higher self. You are starting to genuinely not just tell yourself and stuff like that, to genuinely believe, but this is where you're not telling yourself this, your inner self is telling you. So that's how you know that is genuine. You're not repeating affirmations or reading a book, listening to YouTube. It's something from deep within you telling you this. So you're the author of this. So it's telling you that true love, and when someone just wants to embrace you, be with you, wants to give you their love, is actually real. There is no reason why that cannot happen to you and who it is that you are. Because what you also realize is the other side of the coin, how much full of love you are, and it drives you insane that the other person could not receive your love, could not see it for what it truly is. But most people are not like that. Most people can actually feel love so very clearly, because love is not just rational, mental, or emotional. It is also like a frequency, and even a plant can tell the difference between frequencies. only some not so fortunate people who have been through very rough times are blinded so much that they cannot react to frequency. But most people, even if just passively or unconsciously, they can. So this inner empress is now learning to accept love, to receive love, not to turn into a cactus every time someone even says a loving word or something like that to you, while your shadow side is also healing in the sense that, well, love can be very pleasurable, very exciting. It can truly make you feel alive. It can be very Taurian, as in appealing to all the senses. And ultimately, a side of love is also chemistry, pheromones, feelings, and all the scorpionic intensity that goes hand in hand with love. And you might be feeling that as a desire that you want to physically embrace love. And these two sides, the more, let's say, idealistic, pure expression of love that your higher self inspires, and the lower, more earthly, more animalistic that your shadow self inspires, they're in harmony. So that's when true healing comes together. And even though this Scorpio season, well, it will make you feel a little bit lonely, and you might have this urge to feel love, to give and receive love very intensely, that can be a little bit frustrating, even torturous. It will trigger a powerful manifestation of fate, where someone from your distant past returns into your life. And don't worry, it's definitely not your ex or that person who wounded you. But don't even try searching your memory data bank, if that makes sense, to find out who it is, because you wouldn't even suspect it. So abandon all hopes of trying to figure out who this person can be. But they return into your life, and something that they do, something they tell you, something that happens between you two will be a powerful force of healing. Maybe this person lives elsewhere at greater distance, and where you live is their place of origin, so they come back for a visit, or somehow you encounter this person. And maybe this encounter won't last for a very long time, but whatever happens, it's profoundly healing and regenerative. And it will definitely transform you. And with the Six of Cups reversed, the heartbreak will be ripped from its roots. Whatever this person will do, show, whatever that can be, it will kind of remind you of who you truly are, romantically speaking, who you truly are as a lover, as a partner, maybe even in bed. But anyway, it will definitely heal you. So this is what the cards have to say for you. Thank you so much for listening. Wish you a blessed November and Scorpio season. Until next time, bye for now. Hello everyone who has chosen the third pile. Your cards are the Judgment, the Tower reversed, Page of Cups reversed, and the Four of Cups. Now for you guys, what I'm picking up here is that your shadows are very, very strong in the present moment. Your shadow is full of want, full of need, full of desire. It is determined to fight with whatever it has for a breakthrough or an achievement, advancement, something that you want to construct or rebuild, that you have been probably doing all of 2021 with progress, of course. But very recently, perhaps the past 2 weeks or just the past week, you have entered into a strange stagnation where, you feel like life has stopped, the flow is not there anymore, things don't very much advance, and even the things that do advance and do happen, they kind of feel like a struggle. And also, this Page of Cups reversed, your inner child and basically your inner self is not in very friendly mood. It's like you really don't want to go out and play. You don't really want to share with other people. You don't really want to be very, very friendly right now. It's almost like you have withdrawn into yourself instinctually. And there is also this feeling of frustration. It's not very bad. It's almost like feeling stuck, but in a very subtle way. You don't necessarily feel that your life is stuck, but more like the karmic patterns playing out in your life. Ever since, this moment, all throughout 2021, you might have felt that in the background, karma is playing out fast forward. Things are happening, things are evolving. You are karmically journeying to exactly where you need to be. You are or were like this symbolic chariot where the route was already, the course was laid in, the GPS was programmed, and you were moving fast forward exactly where it is that you needed to be. You conquered one battle, one obstacle, one perhaps inconvenience challenge at a time. You took every day as it was. And with the hardships, but also the pleasant moment, it was working. And there was also a sense of urgency, because you might have felt that this year, 2021, you really, really need to, reconstruct, rebuild your life. Because before, either 2018, 2019, 2020, you had tower moment in your life. So a lot was demolished. A lot was, laid to waste. A lot of letting go, a lot of purges, but material purges. So it wasn't like just feelings and friendships, connections. It was also materially. Maybe your job changed, your livelihood, your income changed. Maybe you embraced a freelance type of lifestyle or project-based work. So a lot has changed. And you are rebuilding, you are reconstructing, and it's not just a Sisyphus kind of work, because the foundations are laid, the building, which is symbolically your life being reconstructed, is already more or less standing, so it's pretty stable, and it's, getting along quite nicely, the reconstruction, but recently it all stopped. And you might be asking yourself, what's happening? Why did it stop? Why is this frustration there? Why are certain fears returning? Why is an inner restlessness returning? Are you, kind of symbolically speaking, going back to the hangman position? And your shadow is a little bit angry. It's fighting this. It wants to make progress. It wants to work. It wants to be there, do it. It wants to keep you in passion, in intensity, in determination, in ambition, because that's the way forward. That's how your house is going to be reconstructed. No time for breaks, no time for contemplation, Four of Cups even. No time for that much philosophy. It has to be work, strong heart determination right now. So basically it's almost like your shadow doesn't care that maybe karma itself stopped a little bit. It still wants to slave drive your being into finishing that reconstruction regardless of when it takes place. If it's 10 years, but no stop until you're there. Of course, it's not going to be really 10 years, so that was just my attempt of joking. I do believe in the worst case scenario, by the end of 2024, you will have your rebuilt life. So it will be already done and dusted over. You will already be sitting in your let's say, new tower, new castle. But anyway, this is where your shadow is very determined to not really allow this stagnation or this more quiet period to take place in your life. And you will have no choice but to sit down with yourself and quiet your shadow that it's not as bad as it, let's say, thinks, if that is even possible. And this is where the cards are telling you that what is truly happening in your life right now, it is a episode perhaps of stagnation, but this stagnation is definitely not what you think. It is actually divine protection. The universe, the divine, is actually making 100% sure that what you have reconstructed until this present moment is not going to be affected in any way, shape, or form. So it's like protecting you. It's freezing everything. And the reason for this is, well, on one hand, something fated is fast approaching in your life, which will make your situation a lot better. Just that maybe you decided not so long ago, influenced by your shadow, of course, that you don't even want any help, any fated, whatever, not any divine intervention or any contribution from karma. You're more than capable of doing this the hard way, just working for your stability, for this new life, basically. All you need to do is stay on your path and keep up the work, and it will come together. And even though this is definitely a very wise and dignified attitude, very Saturnian, so to speak, yet still surprises are entering your life. The game, symbolically speaking, is definitely going to change. The rules gonna change, it's gonna be different. So the universe is stopping you, freezing the situation until you become aware of all those things that will change the course of your progress, your reconstruction. There might be a lot of advantages that you might just miss out on if you just continue ambitiously to do this on your own and with just your own inner resources, so to speak. And also, the other thing is that, how should I say, due to the nature of what you physically or literally have to do to basically rebuild your life, maybe it's work or business projects, connections, people, you might get a lot of negative and not so favorable influence in your life, like it or not, especially if that negative influence, maybe they might be clients or business partners, people who you have to work with. And these people would definitely cause a setback. So rather than to allow this to happen, the universe stops everything, allowing the changes, to the surprises, the element of unexpected to finally enter your life, and you can make choices, decisions, and see which way you want to progress based on that, based on the new. And the other side, it protects you from certain people who must not be part of your life and your journey right now. So if you feel very frustrated, stuck, annoyed, and start becoming so very hopeless, so very, a lot of doubt in your faith, in your ambition, in your own power, just stop, sit down with yourself, maybe during the course of a meditation, or anything that connects you to yourself, your soul, your spirit, and just ask the universe to send you clarity, to send you guidance, to send you confirmation of what is happening, and it will answer. And you will be guided either through inner forces, through synchronicities, through songs, through certain symbols which are very personal to you, that this isn't against you, this isn't in your disadvantage, quite the contrary. Going with the flow and just trying to be patient right now and not to allow your ambition and your desire to succeed and rebuild to turn into an obsession or desperation, but rather to trust and even rejoice in that moment when you will see the surprise, when you will see the element that will change the course of things, when you will actually see the good intent of the universe, of the fact that it's conspiring actually in your favor, stopping you when you're going way too fast. So basically it is acting like a diligent parent, so your shadow must not rebel against it, especially right now. And the big karmic lesson in this is, of course, if you think about the tower moment in your life, the loss, however your life was shattered back then, it took you a lot of soul searching and a lot of emotional purification to get to the conclusion that whatever happened was in your greatest good. It actually saved your life from a certain perspective that lost, or when upheaval just entered your life. And the irony is, back then, you either got messages or through a reading or somehow this message was given to you that whatever this loss is in your greatest good and you will be thankful for it. And at that time you might have been even outraged that how can the divine just take this so lightly that day when you will actually judge that whatever happened was in your greatest favor, that will never ever come. And surprise, surprise, it actually did. Because right now with your mindset, with your present mindset and who you are today, you actually know without even a shadow of doubt that it was in your greatest advantage, and you were very, very thankful and grateful that your life just fell apart the way it did, making it so easy for you. Easy in the sense that, when your house is dangerous, it is a question of time that it will the roof will collapse in your head. Well, you can either have an accident where you're outside of the house and it all collapses and you're faced with the fact, or you can just hire someone with a wrecking ball to do it for you, and you even pay for it, if you know what I mean. So basically it collapsed exactly in the best moment when it should have collapsed, saving you a lot of pain and effort and grief to collapse it for yourself, if that makes sense. And of course the healing wasn't easy, and the mourn, the grief, the loss, the resentments, but you still got exactly in the position. Back then you said you will never ever embrace that wisdom, that it is for your greatest good, and you did that, and that happened. So you already know, and it makes so much sense, that you will have, without the shadow of a doubt, the moment when your house, symbolically to be understood, is already reconstructed, standing. You live in it in your peace and harmony and your joy. Just as masterfully as the deconstruction, the upheaval was orchestrated, you can just have faith and trust in the symmetry of the universe, that the moment of reconstruction, when your house will be standing once again, is also just as carefully and timely orchestrated. So all you can do right now is trust and not fight this stagnation, because it's not what you think. It's actually the purest form of divine protection. So this is what the cards have to say for you, pile number 3. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish everyone a blessed and magical November and Scorpio season. Well, this concludes today's pick a card reading. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here, for all the beautiful comments, support, and encouragement. If you found this reading useful, inspirational, and would like to support my work and my channel so I can create many more readings like this for the weeks to come, you can donate in the PayPal link in the description below. With this being said, thank you once again for being here. I wish everyone a blessed and magical and profoundly healing Scorpio season. Until next time, bye for now.